You have traveled from Vancouver all the way to sunny California for your dream solo trip, all while documenting your experiences, traveling, and just stepping out on your own. But unfortunately, your name is Elisa Lam, and within the next 2 weeks, you will be found dead on the roof of the infamous Cecil Hotel. We are Mom, There's Been a Murder. My name's Kaylee, and this is my mom, Rebecca. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most infamous Cecil Hotel cases. Mom, you ready to do this?
I'm ready.
All right, let's jump in. So I just want to first start by saying that this case is one that really sparks a lot of debate online. Like, I know through the years, there's been a lot of speculation, a lot of question about what actually happened in this case. And that's because people kind of look at it from a lot of different levels. And so we're going to talk about a lot of different perspectives in this. There is going to be talk about mental health and things like that. And so as always, we want to bring a light and shine a light on people that have walked many different walks of life. And so as we talk about this, some of it is of a disturbing or sad nature. This is your trigger warning for if you are struggling with things like that, or if you feel like this isn't content that you should be watching, now would be a good time to turn it off. Okay, so Elisa Lam was a 21-year-old college student. And so from everything that I've seen, apparently she was kind of struggling in college at this point, which relate. Okay. Right. I had some time in college that I was like, what the heck am I doing here? What's happening?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. You know,
I was there.
Yeah, you were there for that, you know, but she's kind of in that phase too, 21, and really just looking at her life. Like, is this what I want to do? Is this really what, the path that I want to follow? And so she made the decision to leave Vancouver and go on this solo trip through California. And all while she's doing this, she's documenting her experiences. She's talking with her family. She's like learning and growing herself. And I mean, I'm an independent person, but going from Canada to California alone at 21 is a lot.
Yeah, that's
a lot.
That's a little scary.
Yeah. There's obviously a lot of dangers in the world. Right. We know that. I mean, we obviously talk about that all the time, but she really confidently set out. And when her family and her friends really talk about her, they talk about how independent she was. And I'm like, okay, obviously. And then also how creative she was. She just had this super creative mind. She just thought differently than other people. And I love hearing that part of her personality, that is still what sticks with them when they think about Elisa. And so along with this like beautiful creative part of her personality, there also was this real struggle that she was very open with about with her mental health. Mm-hmm. So she was diagnosed bipolar and also really struggled with depression through the years, which she was very open about. This is one of those things. She took
medication for that, correct? I believe.
Yes, she did. She did. So at the time, her family believed her to be like very much of sound mind. In the process of her traveling, she was on medication. It was in check, which is amazing. That's incredible. Right. Like that. We have very good friends and family members that have, walked through this path, and medication can be so healing and so incredible for them. And so it looked like as if that was what the case was for her as well. So as she's traveling, this is in January of 2013. So she is documenting it. She has set dates that she communicates with her family. They don't talk every day, but they know like on X day, I'm going to be giving you a call. So that's kind of what they had followed along with her cues, letting them know how she was doing. So by the end of the month, she is in Los Angeles and she has checked into the infamous Cecil Hotel. Dun, dun. This was January 26th. Yeah. So obviously, the Cecil Hotel, if you don't know, has a pretty dark reputation. It opened in the 1920s and was like this grand, beautiful hotel that everyone wanted to stay at. But through the years, it just became more and more associated with like crime and violence. And often people with drug abuse issues would stay there. And there was just this dark theme. And strangely enough, you're going to know this name. Even one of the most well-known American serial killers stayed in this hotel at one point. Yeah. It was actually Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker.
Everybody knows that name. Everyone
of course
knows that name.
So strange. So Richard Ramirez is a psycho.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, truly was like a shockingly brutal serial killer who was just ran rampant in California and has since been sent to prison. But yeah, it's just odd to me. There's like all of these weird connections to the Cecil Hotel. So a lot of people look back on that and like have questions about it. Obviously, they're not related, but it's just odd. It's not really a great place that you would want your daughter to be in, or you would want your friend to be in, especially if she was alone. So she checks in to this hotel, and she actually was not staying in like your typical way. She is staying in like a hostel room. So she was like there with roommates that she didn't know. So yeah.
No.
I'm just going to give a PSA.
No.
Don't ever do that.
No.
Never, ever, ever do that.
Never.
Ever. Like just, especially if you're a woman traveling alone. This is not like a victim shaming thing. She obviously had no idea what was going to happen to her.
I'm sure she did it. I'm sure like it's more inexpensive. It didn't cost as much, that kind of thing. Yeah,
absolutely. No. There are decisions made out of necessity.
Yeah.
I had not known that. I guess I had not realized that. But so this is what had happened. She checked into this room. She's with a group of other people. And a couple days after they're there together, there are actually some complaints that were made about her to the front desk, where they said that she was behaving strangely, and they asked that she would be moved to her own private room.
Wow.
Yes.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. So that's actually why she was moved out of that like hostel room into being alone, which was not initially the plan for her. So she gets moved to another floor. And let me also mention this. So while the Cecil Hotel is a hotel, it also housed a lot of long-term residents. So they had like housing in there as well, that people that like literally lived there, as well as like transient individuals that are coming in and out, checking in, all that kind of stuff. So it's initially very hard to know who's there at all times, especially when there's like this subculture of the Cecil Hotel that's like very much party, drug use, those kind of things. So it's just something of note as well. So she gets sent out of this room. They complained of this odd behavior. But during her stay, Elisa kept in regular contact with her parents. And so she was supposed to have that check-in that we talked about earlier on January 31st. And so that day comes, she doesn't call. And instantly her parents are like, hold up, something's wrong. Because even though they would go a little bit without talking, that check-in day was like never missed. Mm-hmm. So they immediately contact the authorities, and a search begins. Police search the hotel. They look at her room. They look in the common areas, and there's literally no sign of her. There's no sign of a struggle in the room. There's no sign of foul play.
Her belongings they don't find are all still in her room?
Belongings are there. Okay. There's no question about like if she packed up and left. This is just she's just the only thing missing. And so unfortunately, it takes 2 weeks for really anything to even be announced. And 2 weeks later, investigators release a piece of evidence that is so well known now, the footage of her in an elevator. And so we're going to play that video now, but I'm also going to explain what it is for anyone who's just listening in. So we see Elisa, and she gets into the elevator, and she is acting strangely. Mm-hmm. She is not acting normally. She appears to press multiple buttons, or at least leans down in the elevator, attempting to press buttons. She steps in and out of the elevator repeatedly. And we're not talking about, she doesn't look peaceful. She looks stressed or
terrified.
Agitated.
Yeah.
She looks scared. She steps in and out and in and out. She looks down the hallway, and as if she's looking for somebody. At one point, she steps back in and literally slides along the wall and almost hides in the corner of the elevator. And then she steps out again the last time and starts making these like unusual hand gestures down the hallway. And I'm not meaning like waving. She's not waving. She's like hand dancing. Like I don't really know what other words to use. Like she's just making gestures outside before then walking down the hallway. She doesn't even get on the elevator and take it anywhere after all of this whole thing of going in and out. It's very odd. And then as she walks down the hallway, she disappears from view. And unfortunately, this is
really fast.
Yes.
Also, don't the doors stay open? They don't.
So we're going to
close.
talk about that.
Okay.
There's
Sorry.
so many.
I'm trying to get ahead of you. Okay.
No,
okay.
I love it.
That's what I don't know.
So
all the
many
details,
strange
but...
things. Yeah, there are so many strange things about this. So as she walks down the hallway, though, like you said, the elevator stays open. We see her walk down the hallway away. So there are immediately multiple questions that come up. So is she hiding from somebody? She literally at one point hides up against the wall. It looks as if she's at least thinks somebody is coming. Is there somebody in the hallway? Why is she consistently walking out and looking out again? What is she looking at? Who is she looking at? What is she seeing? Obviously a natural question is, was she under the influence at the time? The kind of sporadic movements and behaviors, it leads people to that question. Or was she having some kind of mental health crisis where she was struggling? But finally is your question. Why does the elevator stay open the entire time that she's walking in and out? And we're not talking like she's catching the door as it like starts to close and it opens again. No, it doesn't budge.
Right. And most of those hotels, like, you can barely get your family or one or two people in. Like, I won't let our younger kids walk in first because I'm afraid it's going to close in between. They close so quickly. Exactly.
You're going to be like half your family, which we do have an enormous family.
We do, but you know,
we've got like a gazillion people in our family. So it's kind of different, but still, it's odd. Yeah. And it's something that, like, no matter what people believe about this case, it's one of those things that, like, though there are a lot of disagreements on what happened or how it happened, everybody agrees. What was that?
Yeah.
What was that? So the mystery only deepens at this point. Like, there's this odd video. So in the meantime, this video is released and they still can't find her, which is the most important thing of all. Where is she at? What's going on? But in the meantime, people that are still staying in the hotel have no idea where she is or that even anything is going on. They don't know that she's missing, a lot of them. But reports begin to flood in by the guests about water issues. So some of the reports are complaining about low water pressure. Others are claiming that the water has a strange taste. And then some even come and say that the water will initially come out black or brown and then go back to clear. You know where this is headed. Can you imagine?
No.
Yeah. Can you imagine? I've always thought about this too. We so much talk about the victim, the person that's victimized. That is so traumatizing for everyone that was there.
Absolutely.
Also. If you drank this water, because unfortunately, what happened is Elisa's body was actually found on the roof inside one of the rooftop water tanks. And that is why the water was not running correctly. Traumatizing. So then we have a whole batch of new questions that immediately come to the surface here. How did this girl get on the roof? How did she have access?
Right.
How did alarm bells not go off? Why was it unlocked? I mean, how did no one notice that there was a woman, a guest of the hotel, that made it onto the roof? That's a huge security problem. Like, that's an issue in itself. How had she entered this tank? So 2 schools of thought here. One is that she had entered it herself. And the other is that someone put her in this tank. And finally, why was it so easy to access it? Obviously, this is a massive miss on the part of the hotel. Why was it so easy? No matter what, whether she ended up there in a mental health crisis or whether she ended up there because someone put her there, why was it so easy to get there? That is a massive problem. So investigators immediately start asking these questions and they're looking at this rooftop and this is where I have a problem. This is where there's like a huge gray area in all of my research and all of my study of like the questions that they ask, the maintenance workers, the hotel staff. This is like a weird gray, foggy area because a lot of their answers to those questions that I just asked vary wildly. Some people claimed that it was locked. Some people claimed that it was never locked. Some people claimed that there were alarm bells that did go off. Other people said that there wasn't even a security system. So, I mean, like, there are so many so many like different stories and different reports. It literally just continuously fueled this investigation and pushed it forward. And where I have a problem is that they didn't dig into this more. It feels like a miss. And at least what you can see publicly, it feels like we left a lot of potential investigation on the table.
Were there no cameras in? I mean, there was a camera outside of the elevator.
I know. So they have no more footage of Elisa at all. Once she leaves that elevator, there is no more footage. There isn't camera footage in the hallway.
Were there supposed to be cameras? Like, I have questions.
That's gray area. Should there have been a camera in the hallway that was turned off? I don't know. Like, should there have been a camera on the roof? Yeah, there should have been. Obviously, if you're letting people up there. But there's never been.
To get into this water container, storage, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, how is it a...
Great question.
What is it?
So this is a large, elevated, difficult to enter water tank. Okay. It is a very small entrance at the top of it. And you would have to climb up over the edge and like wedge your body into it. Okay. Yeah. So many problems here. And critics like me have argued that she could not have done it herself.
Right.
Is it possible? Yes. Like, it is humanly possible her body could fit without help. Is it likely? Is it likely? No, girl. It doesn't make sense.
I've seen people do crazy things with drugs in their system.
That is true.
Did she, I mean, is there an outcome? Did she have drugs in her system? Did she?
So they did do a toxicology scan. And I will say with the medications that she was taking, one of the doctors said that because of the mix of drugs in her system that were prescribed, that coming off of those medications, if she wasn't taking them consistently, could cause her to go into a spiral, could cause her to go into a manic episode that otherwise, if she had consistently taken it, that maybe we wouldn't have seen.
So that does leave a possibility.
It leaves a question. Yeah. But I will say, with the amount of mixed, confusing stories we're getting from the staff, I would have run that direction first.
Right.
I would have chased that. And what it feels like to me is because this person was labeled, I'm bipolar and depressed. That was what we ran with.
We can hang our hat on that.
Yes, it's an excuse to not investigate or continue to look at. So they, after the autopsy, after the toxicology report, they eventually rule her death an accidental drowning. That is the official report. Because there was no major trauma other than like her having passed and been in the water tank. There were no clear...
I will say this. Uh-huh. So if someone is putting me in a water tank that is very small in nature, I'm going to fight.
Unless she was not awake for it.
Yeah. But was that in her system? Did they test for those things?
So because they were able to rule it as a drowning, they know that she was alive when she went into the water, but that doesn't mean that she was conscious. So that's where there has been speculation around, was she knocked out?
I see.
Someone took her and did this to her, or did she somehow wedge herself in this alone on the roof by herself and then drown in it? After getting hers, because let me just say this. If you are coherent enough to get into that tank, very like particularly like to squeeze yourself into it and make it up to the roof and all of these things, it's just odd to me that she wouldn't be able to exit it. You know what I mean? Those are the things that just feel very strange. But because she didn't have...
Unless she's hiding from someone, which I'm not going to pick that place to hide.
Fantastic question. Or let me say the other side. Or she's in a paranoid state.
Right.
And believed she was hiding from someone.
Right.
And
then you can't get out. I don't know what the inside looks like.
Right. I assume that it's very dark. I assume that it was not like there wouldn't be lighting in there, that kind of thing. Maybe she got turned around in it. So there's lots of question, but there's more to, I think, this was their official statement was there were no clear signs of assault. And I just want to stop here because that phrasing bothered me. What does that mean?
Right.
Like literally, what does that mean? Does that mean she wasn't bruised all over her body? Does that mean they did like a kit testing?
Okay, but she was in water.
But she was in water.
2 weeks.
I don't know how they would have gotten that for sure. And also, sexual assault doesn't look one way or the other.
Right.
We don't know what that means. I mean, it just kind of it felt a little strange to me. But I think they mean no like physical attack occurred that we would say in the typical sense. So because she had openly discussed living with bipolar disorder, it feels to me like the police department really ran with that and suggested quickly that she had been experiencing some kind of mental health crisis because of the footage that they had also seen from the elevator. But there are also unanswered questions about the elevator. Why didn't it close? All of those things. So it still doesn't feel like a great fit on all sides to me. So, as people began to really debate and talk about this case, some people tried to clarify these mysteries by answering these questions. I will say this. So the elevator, for example, potentially had the hold door button pushed. And some people have claimed that they thought she maybe pushed that button. And that's why the door stayed open.
But I thought you have to hold it to stay open.
See, I don't know. That's just what I had read online, that people said potentially she had pushed that. But here's my problem with that. It looks like she pressed a bunch of buttons.
Oh, yeah.
When she's laid down there, her hands are going like this.
Or did she push
Why
anything?
would she? Or did she not push anything at all? But why would that have been the one button that she pushed? But that has been something, I did want to mention it. I wanted to mention that as well. And other people have said, maybe the people are telling the truth and it was a super accessible roof. And that's why she was able to get up to it. But my argument would be it's not an accessible water tank. So, I mean, that's not an easy thing to get in. And then also, I just have to mention it because there are a lot of conspiracy theorists who believe this as well. There are lots of people who believe that there is some kind of paranormal activity that happens at the Cecil Hotel. I'm not a paranormal girl, eh? I know you're not either. I think Jesus is going to take care of me.
That's right.
And I'm not real worried about any of that stuff. But there are a lot of people who believe very strongly that she was being influenced by something. And I'm not saying that there's not crazy spiritual attacks that happen. I believe that for sure. Let's not cop out an investigation and just blame the paranormal. I think I'm not a fan of that. When there's a chance that a woman was abused and manipulated and treated unfairly. So because there was a very quick finding of accidental drowning, the police did not continue moving forward with an investigation. They believed that she had gone up there herself, that she had made the decision, even though she wasn't in a good mental state, that she had done it to herself. But because the video gained so much attention of her in that elevator, there's been lots of speculation for years and years since then. Obviously, it's why we're talking about it today, because it still lingers in so many people's minds. And so I think this is what I want to be remembered about Elisa. She made this really brave decision to try something. And, while she was in college, she stepped away and decided to go on this solo trip and try to become independent and try something new. And her family talks about what a creative and inspiring and independent individual she was. And I want her to be remembered that way. If this was a heartbreaking break or moment of psychosis, then let's not remember her for this 1 30-second clip in the elevator. She is said to be creative and smart and talented and independent. And that is who she is and who she will always be. But I also want to say on the other side of this, if you know anything about this case, it doesn't matter that it's closed. Cases can be reopened. Mm-hmm. If you know anything about the 2013 case of Elisa Lam, if you were at the Cecil Hotel, if you were around people who talked about her disappearance, who maybe had more information than you'd heard about, do not hesitate and reach out to local law enforcement. They will direct you. They will tell you what to do. And I also want to say this. If you are struggling with your mental health, if you feel like you are in a state of crisis, do not wait. There is no reaching out too early. If you feel yourself headed that direction, call, reach out to a friend, a trusted family members. There are numbers that you can call right here. If you are in that place, I'm just going to tell you right now, call the number right now, because we do not want you to leave this place alone or feel like you're by yourself. So here at Mom, There's Been a Murder, we believe that every case deserves action. If this is your action today, that's amazing. Or if your action is stopping and taking a moment to pray for Elisa Lam's family, that's what we want you to do. Because even though this case has been officially closed, it's never closed for her family. They are still left without a daughter, without a sister, and they deserve to have peace as well. So we just wanted to tell you that story. I mean, it's a wild story,
crazy.
but has so many lessons in it. And so, yeah, I mean, was there anything you didn't know about this case?
There were quite a few things, that I did not know, but they're just still so many. You can have so many details, but then you have so many questions as well. Yeah. So I hate it for her family. You know, I can't imagine being on the other side of that, because I know they have what they say happened, but there's got to be a lot of questions still about what happened.
It never ends.
Yeah.
It never ends. I can't even imagine. Yeah, but we're going to pray for her family.
Absolutely.
And as always, if you know anything, don't hesitate to reach out.